and need to be doing more, which is slowing down. And that's counterintuitive to the conscious mind, because the conscious mind is like, need money, gotta do something, gotta figure it out, gotta do this, do. But that is the opposite, because the opposite, which is what we really need to be doing, is slowing down enough to be in the receptivity mode, to receive what it is we need to receive, to allow things to show up. Does that make sense? All right, welcome to this episode of Change Your Reality. I'm your host, Nick Breau, and today we are doing an episode called The 30-Minute Breakthrough, where we invite one of our audience members in to see how big of a shift they can experience in about 30 minutes. And today we are playing with Melanie in Germany. How are you doing today, Melanie?
I'm good, thank you. How
Good.
are
You
you?
ready to play and have some fun?
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Good. How long have you been studying like law of attraction or personal development or this stuff for?
I think law of attraction came into my life like a couple of years ago, but first I didn't really believe in that stuff, and I was like, oh no, this is just I don't know,
Yeah,
magic. It doesn't work. But then I slowly got into it, and now it's been like maybe 4 years.
awesome.
Yeah, that I'm exploring
And
more.
did you have like one experience or like was there a moment that you really realized, okay, maybe this law of attraction stuff really is legitimate?
Yeah, actually, looking back, there are so many moments, but I think one of the biggest moments was when I decided I want to go in to study to become a naturopath. So in Germany, you have to pay for those schools, and I didn't know how to pay for that. And suddenly, kind of out of nowhere, my old employer offered me a lump sum in case I want to leave the job. And it was the exact sum I needed
Amazing.
to
Amazing.
attend this class. So
Yeah, it's interesting how, I could sit here and I could tell stories of synchronicities to people all day, but really it takes those life experiences. You really have to experience it in order to start understanding how real this stuff really is.
yeah, yeah, exactly. The only thing is, whenever I'm looking back, I most of the time it worked. I didn't intend it to work. So
In other words, it happened when you weren't efforting or trying to make it happen.
exactly,
Yeah.
that's basically also we're jumping right into my
And
topic now.
I was just going to say, and I have a feeling that we're going to come back to that topic
Yeah,
at some point. So fill me in
yeah,
on the breakthrough that you're looking for. So what are we going to explore today?
yeah. I'm one of those many people who have money blocks and money problems. It hasn't been all of my life like that. It started after I left this job I was just talking about, and now I'm like the situation is getting like worse and worse, and I'm always thinking how I get out of it. What am I gonna do with my life? Which job to take? How to make money? How to make money? And I'm circling and circling and circling, and I can't stop,
Yeah.
and I'm going crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Like,
money breakthroughs is probably the most sought after topic in law of attraction.
I would
So yeah,
say,
so let's play with money a little bit. The number one thing around money is the more we try and chase it, the more it tends to elude us. And that's because, you get what you focus on, whether you want it or not. So when we're chasing after money, we're trying to figure out money, even when we're doing processes to try to make money manifest, we're practicing a vibration of absence of money, right? And anytime we're practicing vibration of absence of money, then we're propagating that cycle. And that's why for a lot of people, it's very hard to break that cycle, because every time you look at your bills, every time you spend money, you're kind of subconsciously or consciously reminded of the lack of money or the money that's kind of not present that you might want. Does that make sense?
yeah, totally.
Now, because you've studied law of attraction, you understand law of attraction, you can kind of really dive in and use those concepts with that understanding. So, one of the most important things that I like to explain to people is that you want to try to allow money to be a cooperative component. So let's use your quest to go to naturopathic school as an example. So for you, that money showed up kind of out of nowhere unexpectedly, right?
Yeah.
So when you become a vibrational match to an experience, so you wanted to go to that school, you probably didn't know how you were going to afford it or get there, but in some way, you allowed yourself to become a vibrational match to that experience, right?
Yeah.
And what happens when you become a vibrational match to something, because law of attraction is a law like the law of physics, once you become a match to something vibrationally, you have to experience it. It has to enter your reality. So that kind of takes this notion of money and kind of almost makes it irrelevant, because if you become a vibrational match to going to naturopath school, then whatever is needed to happen in order for that experience to take place has to show up, right? So in your case,
Yeah.
the money showed up in the way it did through an employer. So what I tell people is, if you want to go spend a month in Hawaii, it's not about how do I make the money show up to go to Hawaii. It's about what does being in Hawaii feel like? What flights am I going to take? What it's about planning out the trip, feeling with certainty what it's going to be like to experience that. And then when you become a vibrational match to that, source or your inner being says, okay, Melanie's a match to this experience. What do we need to make it happen? Well, we don't need the money because her friend's going to go and we're going to get her friend to invite her to go with her. Or, oh, she needs an extra $4,000 for plane tickets. Let's orchestrate this synchronicity to make those plane tickets show up. So, the reason people aren't manifesting their trip to Hawaii is because they're trying to make the money show up. But what they should be really doing is work on becoming a vibrational match to the experience, because when you become that vibrational match, the money has to show up if it's needed.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. But my question is, what if I just want to be able to spend money on, I don't know, whatever I need? I just want the security of having it in my bank account, and I don't know, I don't want to go to Hawaii, or
Perfect.
I want to
So
stay home.
so there's a vibrational version of you who is currently experiencing those things, right? In a parallel reality, who has that
Okay.
safety, that security, that comfort that you're talking about. If you could look into a crystal ball and look at that version of you
Mm.
and feel how that version of you feels, what is the gap? What is the vibrational difference between current you and that version of you?
I think it's about self-esteem.
Self esteem. Okay, so that version of you, when you say self esteem, is it that she feels more worthy? Is it that she feels more relief? Is it that she feels good enough? So if you could pinpoint the biggest difference, what would you say comes to mind?
Yeah, I think it's this worthiness and feeling good enough, and um, also being able to show myself to the world and not holding back.
Perfect. Okay. So do you see how the step to becoming that version of you that you see in that crystal ball is by literally embodying the state of being that that version of you holds? And now your next
Yeah,
question is going to be, well, how do I do that?
exactly.
So,
How I fill the gap.
yeah. So, have you ever done the Attraction Point Audit? I know you've read my book before. So, there's a process where we look at circumstances and we look for a pattern of emotions that keeps surfacing in circumstances. Have you ever done that before?
No, I read it in the book, but I haven't done the exercise.
Okay. Do you want to do it with me really quick?
Okay.
Because what happens is there's the version of us that we're currently being, there's the version of us that we desire to be. And most people have like one or two, sometimes three of these dominant emotions that are kind of the things that anchor us and prevent us from being that version of ourselves, right? The typical one, the most common, is not good enough. And the way we can identify what your biggest block is or dominant negative emotion is is by looking at different patterns of circumstance. And when you look at all these different circumstances, with about 90% of people, the same negative emotions are present in all of these different circumstances. And once you identify what that is and shift out of it, then you become much closer to that version of you in the crystal ball. Does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah, totally.
Awesome. So what would you say is like, and we're going to do just a really quick version of it here. What would you say is the biggest stress in your life? The number one thing that if you could snap your fingers and make it go away, what would it be?
It's money and it's not knowing what to do next.
Perfect. So the lack of finances, the fact that your finances aren't where you want them to be, how does that make you feel? So what emotion does that kind of surface? Is it the not good enough, the worry, the stuckness?
Yeah, and it makes me also feel shame.
Shame. So would you say shame would be the number one that comes up?
Shame. I'm not sure.
Okay.
My brain just kicked in. I started thinking instead of feeling, so I'm not sure.
That's okay. So take a deep breath. Just kind of drop in your body. And when I say the lack of finances makes me feel, what's the first thing that pops in your head?
Unworthy.
Unworthy? Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. And are you currently employed, or are you like a stay-at-home mom, I think you mentioned?
Yeah, I'm a stay-at-home mom right now.
Perfect. And when you were the last job that you were in, can you remember what it felt like to be in that job?
Yeah, it was a part-time job,
Okay.
and
And
I had to.
when you think about that job, what was the hardest or worst part about that job? Is there something that sticks out?
It was boring.
Boring. Okay. And the fact that that job was so boring and you were in that job, that makes me feel
Stuck.
stuck. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. And was there another job before that one?
Yes.
Okay. Same question. What was the worst part about that job? How did it make you feel?
It made me feel terrible. I actually got sick during that job working there.
Okay.
I felt super stuck and super helpless, and but I was married to this company somehow.
Okay.
And when I broke up with the company, that's when all the money issues started.
Perfect. Okay. That's good to know. So far out of the three things we've looked at, stuck and helpless came up twice. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you say that your financial situation also makes you kind of feel stuck and helpless?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a common. So I would say the most common negative emotion around finances is the vibration of feeling stuck and powerless. A lot of people who practice that also have like lower back issues, who have a sensitive lower back. Um,
Yeah.
so that's kind of one of the signs. And if you look at past relationships, did you ever notice any kind of pattern in the relationships you used to be in?
I think, yeah, I tend to also feel stuck in my relationships. It's super hard for me to end
Perfect.
relationships.
So do you see the theme and the pattern here of stuckness?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is basically the biggest contributor to your money block, your financial block.
Yeah.
So how would you like to try to clear that stuckness right now? How
I
would you,
don't know what are the options.
how would you like to let it go? So let me explain the vibration of stuckness and where it comes from. So
Yeah.
let's say that you want it to be an engineer at IBM. So the conscious mind says, okay, I want to be an engineer at IBM. It says, okay, well, first I need to go to school. I need to get an education. I need to get good grades. I need to find a job opening. I've got to get references. I got to apply for the job. I got to land the interview, and then I'll get the offer. So the conscious mind on all subjects kind of creates this path in its mind on how to get from here to here.
Yeah.
And then because we're so focused on the 3D physical reality, and because we're so trained to believe in effort, then we start walking that path, right?
Yeah.
And then at some point along that path, if something's not working out, if we're not able to move to the next step in the path, and if the conscious mind can't figure out a way to get to the next step, that's when it starts to feel stuck. That's when that emotion of stuckness sets in. Makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Now, reality is never about that path. It seems like it's about that path because that's what the conscious mind believes, but we live in a vibrational reality. We live in a reality where there's a vibration and there's an attraction point. So achieving this thing is never about the path. It's about becoming a vibrational match to that experience. Make sense?
Yeah, totally.
And once you understand that the path is irrelevant. And not only is the path irrelevant, but would you agree that all vibrations are available to you?
I would like to think so, yeah.
Yeah, because vibration is just a state of being, right? Vibration and your attraction point is based on what you're giving your attention to. So, where your focus is, what emotions you're practicing, and what beliefs you're practicing. And you have the ability to shift any emotion. You have the ability to shift any focus point, and you have the ability to shift any perspective. So when you understand that, you know that you can shift to any vibration. So stuckness is the misconception that I am stuck because I don't have or I can't figure out what action step to take. And the pivot you need to make and understand is it's not about an external action step, it's about a vibrational action step. It's about shifting to a different practice vibration that takes you closer to that end result, which for you, that end result is the reality where the money is present that you're looking for. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. So, for most people, the opposite of stuckness is relief. Would you agree with that? Or maybe
Yeah.
freedom.
Yeah, freedom sounds
Yeah.
better to me, but relief is also nice.
Yeah. So now that we've talked about exactly what stuckness is, does that feeling of stuckness for you feel a little bit different?
Now I still feel super stuck.
Yeah.
I'm
And
still like, I don't know what to do.
that's okay.
What am I gonna do?
We'll do a little bit of belief tree work. So on a 0 to 10 scale, 0 being it's completely gone, 10 being you couldn't feel any more stuck. How strong is that feeling right now?
10.
10. Perfect. Now, without analyzing, without getting in your head about it, what's the
Mhm.
first thing that comes to mind for you when I say that stuck feeling? I feel stuck, or I feel that way because.
I feel stuck because I don't know what to do.
Perfect. I feel stuck because I don't know what to do. Okay. So remember the story you told us about how the money showed up to go to the school that you wanted to go to?
Mhm. Yeah.
Were you busy worrying about what to do?
No.
Did you need to
Actually, I
figure out what to do, or did the solution just show up for you?
it just showed up.
And wasn't it fun and easy that the solution just showed up like that?
Yeah, I had already given up on the school.
And doesn't that bring relief, that knowingness that solutions can show up in that way?
Yes.
Good. And again, we talked about giving up and effort at the beginning of the call. So, what giving up does, you're not giving up on the desire. And Abraham Hicks told me in the hot seat the first time I was ever in the hot seat with her. When you give up, you're not giving up on the desire, What you're really giving up on is the efforting. What you're really giving up on is the grip of, I need to make it happen.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, can you recall the state of being that you were in when that manifestation showed up for you?
I was just like living life. I There was like no expectation, and it just happened. It just showed up.
And how would it feel like if I told you, if I said, Melanie, your homework for the next 4 weeks is to take a vacation, not getting in a car or a plane and going somewheres, but taking a vacation from the mental need to figure it out, taking a vacation from the effort, taking a vacation from worrying about where you're going to be or how you're going to make things happen in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now. How would that feel if I said to take a vacation in that way?
I would say I don't know how to do that because I've been in a stuckness now for years, and I don't know how to stop anymore. I
Okay.
would say, yeah, I want to do this, but how I stop, how I let go.
Do you feel like you're go, go, go all the time?
Yeah, in my mind, yeah.
You're always got to do the next thing, got to do the next thing, got to do the next thing?
Not physically, but I mean,
Mentally.
now I'm home with a baby, but my brain is running all the time.
Yeah, and that's
It's
something that a lot of coaches who struggle attracting clients, they kind of do the same thing. So I'll ask them, well, how many hours of work are you putting in a day? And they might say something like, well, I'm only working 3 or 4 hours a day. And then I'll say, but how much time are you thinking about your business during the day?
Mhm.
And then they'll say all the time.
Yeah, I read this somewhere. I heard this.
Right.
Yeah,
So really
I
it's
was like,
about,
wow.
how Abraham Hicks says to get off the topic, right? What we really want to do is get off the topic. And what that does when you get off the topic is it allows the energy to begin flowing and to begin moving. It's like when we're on the topic, it's like we grab it and we hold it at a standstill because we're so focused on it, we're holding on to it, right?
Yeah.
So for me personally, every time I come back from a vacation, there's always a flood of new things that come in. And that's because when I'm busy traveling or on vacation, my focus is on enjoying the beach, enjoying the mojito that I'm sipping on, enjoying exploring whatever city that I'm in. It's because my attention is fully present in my now moments, right?
Mm.
So, really, the key to letting go and stepping out of effort in the way that we're talking about here is being present and being more grounded in your physical and giving more attention to what you have going on in front of you rather than the mind spinning all the time trying to figure things out. The example I used in my book, which I feel is very relevant, is when you've got kids in the back seat of the car and they're like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Yeah.
Versus kids in the back seat who might have, an iPad and a movie to watch or a game to play. Because when you're having fun, time goes so much quicker, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the more fun you're having in your reality, the more you're enjoying your reality, the more present you are in it. And the more present you are in it, the less time you're spending with your mind thinking, figuring out. Does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So for you, I would say the first kind of logical step is to understand that the money is there. In the same way the money was there to go to that school, the money is also there for, the bills, the savings, the things you want to buy, the expenses. It's already done. In the same way the money for the school was done, the money is already done. But you can't let your conscious mind say, I don't see it, so then it's not done. Right?
Yeah.
So as you practice the doneness of it And as you stay off the topic and enjoy and indulge in your physical reality, that's what's going to start to allow things to kind of trickle in, or allow the inspirations to trickle in on what action steps you do need to take.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, what has helped me find those states of being and slow down, because my mind is loves to be active, it loves to think. Things that have helped me to do things like that is practice finding ways to practice tuning into satisfaction. So for me, I love coffee. I don't know if you're a coffee drinker,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but I love my morning coffee. So there's two ways that I can drink my morning coffee. I can make my coffee, I can rush making my coffee, I can jump on my computer and I can start plugging away and drink my coffee and barely even notice that I'm drinking a coffee and tasting it, right? Or I can take my coffee in the summertime here, I can go sit on the beach, I can go sit on my patio, and I can just spend 20 minutes, 25 minutes just being present with my coffee, tasting my coffee, watching the birds fly by as I drink my coffee, walk in my garden and look at the tomatoes growing as I drink my coffee. So, which one of those two do you think is more vibrationally productive?
The second one, obviously.
Which one of those two do you think puts us more in the receptivity mode?
Second one.
Because when your mind is going all of the time, you're not in the receptive mode, right? You're in energy out mode. So finding ways to really slow down, finding ways to enjoy the small things make a massive, massive difference in what you're experiencing in your reality, not only in terms of manifestations, but also in terms of like inspired impulses and ideas and clarity and intuition and all of those things. And I love that we're having this conversation because this is something that like 99% of people need to be hearing and need to be doing more, which is slowing down. And that's counterintuitive to the conscious mind because the conscious mind is like, need money, gotta do something, gotta figure it out, gotta do this, do. But that is the opposite because the opposite, which is what we really need to be doing, is slowing down enough to be in the receptivity mode to receive what it is we need to receive to allow things to show up. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So,
sounds so easy, but it's so hard.
and I love that you said that too, because I can almost guarantee that's what everybody's thinking. So, the reason it's so hard is because A, we're addicted to stimulation. So, we're addicted to like engaging and interacting and like I think of like social media especially, you know, we're addicted to always needing something in our face to be interacting and engaging with.
Mm.
And B, a lot of us have developed this like subconscious drive that's always pushing us to like, you got to do more, you got to do more, you got to work harder, you got to go do the next thing, right? It's like, it's almost like it's telling us that we're not allowed to slow down, that it's bad to slow down,
Mm.
right? And in order to develop the habit of slowing down, we really need to be consciously aware of that part of us that's telling us not to slow down and look at that part of us and say, hey, take a time out, right? And I've worked with people who just taken 20 minutes a day, two or three times a day, where they just slow down, right? Maybe 20 minutes in the morning with your coffee, maybe 20 minutes in the afternoon meditating or going to a park, just finding a couple of moments every day to find stillness and to find that silence and to be present. For some people, that makes a massive, massive difference.
Mm.
So, does it still feel hard to do that?
No, I can do that. I thought more of I have to be in the receptive mode like 24/7, and that felt
No,
super hard.
absolutely not. And to be honest, the more you practice being in the receptive mode, the easier it becomes and the more you find yourself in it. So right now, people are practice being in the opposite of receptive mode because of the way school is, because there's so much stress and pressure in jobs, because so much stuff is put in our shoulders. It's like we're giving more than what we can handle as humans.
Hmm. Yeah.
However, once you learn to slow down, you realize that all of that stuff on our shoulders, slowing down gives our inner beings the opportunity to help us with all of these things. It gives our inner beings the opportunity to provide us with impulses that allow us to work through these things in ways that are so much more effective. And then the whole synchronicity thing comes into play too.
What do I do when I try to slow down? I sit there with my coffee, and then again, my mind is like, so nothing happening here. This is not working.
Right. And do you see how your mind is automatically going to, I need to figure this out,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. That's what happens all the time.
So, what you want to do is you want to remind yourself that the most productive form of productivity is vibrational productivity, right? So if you've got, and I give this example all the time and I'm going to use it again. If you're an entrepreneur and you've got 5 different business options to choose from, if you're at the vibration of failure, doesn't matter which one you choose, doesn't matter how hard you work, doesn't matter how much effort you put in, the end result is still going to be failure. If you're at the vibration of success, doesn't matter which one you choose, the end result is going to be success,
Mm.
right? So it's about you reminding your conscious mind that the quality of my reality is dependent on the quality of my vibration. So, me sitting here and taking 20 minutes to indulge and relish in how delicious this beautifully made cup of coffee is, and listen to the sounds of the birds in the trees, and relax into my chair for 20 minutes, that is so vibrationally productive compared to being in that effort, figure it out mode.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it all makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's what I would try: have a conversation with your inner critic, your inner being, have a conversation with that part of you that is trying to tell you that you can't slow down, that it's not productive. How long do you feel like you've been stuck in what we're talking about today?
Oh my goodness, it's about 7 years now.
Perfect. Awesome.
Like a super long time.
Good. So tell that part of you, say, listen, I've been doing it your way for the last 7 years.
Yeah,
I still feel like I'm not where I want to be.
yeah.
I want to try next way. Let me try this other way just for a month. You go and you take a vacation, you go somewhere else, you leave me alone just for the next even 2 weeks. And let me try it next way and see what happens. If you had that conversation with your inner critic, what do you think would happen? Do you think it would be okay with trying this out for a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think I would really like to go on a vacation after 7 years of working so hard on me.
Good.
Yeah,
And does the thought of that bring relief?
yeah, yeah,
Do you feel yourself relaxing into your body a little bit when you think about that?
yeah. Like not perfectly relaxed, but yeah,
Closer. And do you see how that more relaxed state of being ties into the receptive mode?
yeah,
Good.
yeah.
So I think it's going to be that simple. I think if you can do a really good job of focusing on relaxing, on having fun, on finding things to do that make you present in your reality, that could be a shift, enough of a shift that in the next 2 to 4 weeks, you start to notice a significant difference in your reality.
It almost sounds too easy, if I may say that.
Funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, let's talk a little bit about clarity because in the underlying energy of what we're talking about, it sounds to me like you're kind of like always searching for something. Lack of clarity. Does
Yeah.
that resonate?
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's
Okay.
100%.
Okay. So I'm going to use life purpose as an example, but this applies to all clarity. People who are seeking life purpose are unable to find life purpose because they're in the energy of, I can't figure out my life purpose. I can't find my life purpose. My life purpose isn't here. But you can't mentally figure out your life purpose. Life purpose is something that simply unfolds organically. You can't take a test and then that test tell you what your life purpose is. Your inner being knows your life purpose, and it's always feeding you your next steps to your life purpose. But most people aren't following those steps because they're busy trying to figure out what their life purpose is, right?
Yeah.
So clarity works in the same way. When you're trying to figure it out, you're not being in that receptive place where your inner being can just feed it to you. And it's not going to necessarily come to you, the clarity, as a thought. Clarity is just a next step. So you're going to get an impulse when you're in that receiving mode enough, when you're drinking and enjoying those coffees or doing whatever it is that makes you feel satisfied, you're going to start to receive impulses. And some of those impulses might not even make sense, but they're still going to feel good. They're still going to feel fun. They might even feel exciting. Your job and our job is simply to follow impulses. And that's what new paradigm living versus old 3D paradigm living looks like. Old paradigm is you're in your mental body all the time, you're trying to figure everything out, you need to effort into everything, and you're limited to what you as an individual and what your mind can accomplish. The new paradigm, the 5D reality, is where you're not busy trying to figure it out. You're not busy trying to effort to an outcome. You're simply practicing that vibrationally productive state. You're allowing the impulses and the inspirations to flow to you from that state because that's the receptive mode. And when they flow to you, then you act on them because they feel good and exciting. And it's the act of trying to figure it out in your mind all the time that prevents things from flowing to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
So the clarity will be automatic when you're in the receptive mode.
So what I have to practice is I have to let go. I have to tell my inner critic, let go, let go, let
I
go.
wouldn't even try to let go. So what happens is when we try to let go, it makes it hard to let go, right? It's like the more you try
Yeah,
to open your hand, the more it wants to grip tightly, right?
yeah.
So instead of trying to let go, get off the topic and go do the things that make you present in your reality and bring satisfaction.
Mm,
Because when your attention is off of it, you are in a state of having let go.
okay. Yeah, yeah,
Make sense?
yeah, yeah.
Awesome. And I think that was a perfect nugget to close things off for today. Any final questions or comments before we wrap things up?
No, I think I'll just give it a go for the next weeks and
Yeah,
see
and I
what
feel like
comes
I threw
about.
a lot at you. Like I feel like I talked about a lot of things in this call in such a short period of time. But basically, for you, really practice the receptivity mode, which is just taking a vacation from that inner critic, finding that state of satisfaction, and finding ways to find satisfaction in a lot of the small things in your reality and being present in them.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much for playing with me, Melanie.
Thank you so much, Nick.
And that concludes today's episode of Change Your Reality. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or interested in some other offerings, you can find all of the details and some free resources on my website at nickbreau.com. Bye for now. That's it for today's episode of Change Your Reality. If you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, to join our membership community, or to be trained as a facilitator, you can find all the details on the website at nickbreau.com.